Right, everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're basically going to cover the top Google My Business strategies. I would say this list is from 2023, but it's still going to apply in 2025. So what I'm going to cover here is basically every single way that WhiteSpark. So I'm going to give a shout out to WhiteSpark. So this is the blog here. So if ever you're searching for more information about optimizing your Google My Business, this is going to be a great blog for you. I'm going to have it linked below in the description. In any case, what I'm going to be using here today is their statistics here. Basically what this is that they asked a bunch of SEO experts to rank order the top Google My Business tips from most effective, so the one that has the biggest impact in your rankings, to the least. So they have a list, going up down to, in this case, 149. So a lot of information here. I'm going to be going over the top 10, maybe the top 20 if this video permits it. It makes sense with the video. First thing I want to do before I get into the actual top 10, I just want to make you understand or put this in perspective with everything else there is in your service business. So if you can imagine here, there's many ways leads can notice your business. If you're a local service business, many ways they can notice you. And the strongest way I would say is going to be your Google My Business. That's why we have it up front here. Basically, your Google My Business is going to connect to your website. It's going to affect your SEO. It's going to connect to your reviews. So it's going to be a place where people see your reviews. It's going to be a place where people see your directions. So to try to find you. So it's probably the strongest asset you have, or at least the strongest free asset you have in your arsenal of online reputation or online appearance. And so optimizing it fully can have a tremendous effect on your business in terms of revenue, in terms of profit, in terms of reputability in the market, and so on and so forth. If I were to, you have a bunch of other things like search engine results and social media and maps and so on and so forth that could lead you to getting more leads. But Google My Business seems to be probably one of the best ones. This and search engine optimization is going to be the top two, I would say, for getting you more people to visit your site, to contact you and potentially purchase from you. Another thing I want to do right before I get into the tutorial, and if everyone want to skip ahead, I think I'm going to have the timestamps written, is I just want to show you a projections calculator just to show you what type of impact this can have on your business. So let's go with here, make a copy. And so if we could imagine, in this scenario that I built up, this is a fake business. So these are going to be the statistics of a fake business, and this is going to be the potential improvements you can make, basically covering every single aspect in the whole funnel you just saw. Now, if you were to imagine you have 2,000 visitors a month to your business, that's from Google My Business, search engine results, social media, whatever it may be. Your conversion rate's at 3% overall across all platforms. Your close rate's 30%. Average order value is $30,000. So let's say you're a roofer, you're a contractor, a high ticket contractor. Obviously, if you're a smaller service business and you're offering, a $3,000 service, then the numbers are going to be different. But in any case, we're going to be talking about more contractors, which seems, well, anyways, every service business, it affects every type of service business, just that we've worked with contractors and seen the most results. In terms of refund return rate, 2%, let's say, and your monthly revenue would be 500,000 and your monthly profit would be 132,000. Now imagine the types of improvement that could happen if you ranked a little bit higher on Google. So maybe all you're getting on Google My Business is just 100 visitors more a month. So in terms of increase in terms of profit for this business would be $6,000 in profit. So 5% more profit. This is just by getting 100 visitors more a month to their Google My Business. Now, obviously, if you are a lower ticket service and you have different stats, it's going to change. So it would go to $660 a month. But depending on where you're standing, having more visitors to your website, to your business in general, is obviously a good thing. And Google My Business can really help you get up in there. So what I would say is that for most service businesses, if you haven't optimized your Google My Business and all the ways we're going to talk about, and you haven't done these things, you could probably get it to be 20%, have 20% more traffic, 30% more traffic that you're currently having with Google My Business, especially if you're not ranked already number one. There's many ways to improve it, but I would say a benchmark that would be a good one is that if you've never done it, 30% is achievable. So in this case, let's just assume 300, and then you can see how down the line, it could increase your profits by 15%. And the beauty of it too is that compared to, let's say, advertising or other forms of marketing, if you're improving your Google My Business, and it's gonna most likely is gonna stay for a while, Google My Business, you're gonna have results from it for a long time. Because if you've optimized all these things don't tend to change that drastically. And so you're gonna have the effects of it every single month for the rest of your business's career, or for the rest of when it's gonna last on Google My Business, which in this case, we assume it's 5 years. So you could imagine this is your business, in red before your improvements in Google My Business, and in green after. So you can see how, through time it gets exponentially and exponentially bigger. And now we're just talking about 15% improvement. But you can imagine if it goes 30 and then you do all the other things like get more visitors to your website, you improve your social media and so on and so forth. You can get a lot done there. So let's get into the factors here. Well, first thing, actually one last thing before, I just want to give another shout out because these are all the SEO experts. I'm just going to do it quick here, but these are all the SEO experts that were questioned during this whole blog to give the best answers that they could on what was the best ranking factor. So all these people contributed. So you see, this is probably the strongest resource I've ever found in terms of what really works for Google My Business. And so we're going to get into it now and see what they have to say. So first thing here, we're going to go into this here. So first thing is going to be the primary Google My Business category. So if you're a contractor, let's say a roofing company, they're going to give you recommendations. And what you want is you want to choose the recommendation for the primary Google My Business category that closest matches, that is the closest match to your actual business. And your primary category is going to affect them, is going to have the most effect. This is what the SEO experts express. It's going to have the most effect on where you're going to show up on Google. Are you going to show up for this service? Are you going to show up for that service? So it's most important to have that service set. Now, a thing to keep in mind is that Google's recommended services tend to have more visitors to them. And so you're better off choosing a recommended service that they recommend to you compared to one that you type out that's going to be so specific. So you don't want to be hyper specific in your service because that might not lead Google to show you at the proper places or in the places that you might want to be in. So you want to use what they recommend. So maybe you type in roofing, you see if they say roofing contractor, you choose that one. If you're another type of service business, maybe your hair salon, you choose that one. But you don't want to be too specific. Like let's say if you're a hair salon and you say we mostly do highlights, you don't want to say a highlights hair salon or something like that. You don't want to be too specific. That's really going to hurt your ranking. So number one thing would be your Google My Business category. Number two would be having keywords in the Google My Business profile title. Now, one issue with this is that it does help, and I've seen, this is the, I guess, proof, you could say. It's not true proof, but closest that we have as proof that it does work. So having keywords in your title. The issue with having keywords in the title is that it's against Google's guidelines if it's not part of your business name. So if your business name is ABC Roofing and you have keywords in that title, let's say you say ABC Roofing dash roofing company, best roofing company Montreal, that best company Montreal is against Google's guidelines. And so what could happen is that if somebody's competitive and is looking at your profile, they could report you, potentially get your listing suspended and even completely blocked. So you want to be careful with this. This is going to be up to your discretion if you want to play around with this tactic. It does help a lot. Now, one thing around it that you can play around it is that you can, I believe it's either you change the image that's in your storefront, you change the actual branding of your business. So if it says like ABC Roofing, now it's going to be called ABC Roofing Best Roofing Company Montreal. That would be your new business title, like your actual physical business location showing that. So at Google Maps, you could then send a picture to Google Maps and say, this is actually what we look like. But the other thing you can do is that you change your legal name. So you actually change your legal business name to it, and then you can share that with Google and see. In any case, I would recommend you go see Google's guidelines and see what they what they ask, because these things might change, especially now with AI, because they're probably going to try to lock on this, on that type of stuff. But in any case, you could do that and send it to them. Now, number 3 is going to be proximity of address to the point of search. So search your business distance. So basically, how close is your business located? How close is the location you're stating to the people that are looking for your service? One thing that I've noticed with service businesses that don't really pay attention to Google My Business is that they might not even have an address on their Google My Business profile. Or if they have an address, let's say you're a contractor, you have the address set, but it's not set as your business location. It's just set as the address. So basically what's going to happen is that you have a perimeter. So if ever you see your Google My Business profile, maybe I could give you an example. I think I have one here. So if you see your Google My Business profile, so I have the example here. And it looks something like this. So you see how it's a perimeter. That's very bad for your SEO, because basically what happens is that if anybody's searching, even if they're searching for, let's say in this case, Toiture Elco, they're searching for that and they're in this region, they're not going to find it. So the issue with that is that you're basically not showing up unless you're showing up on Google searches. So you're actually not showing up on maps. This was the case for this business, and we were able to fix it and call Google, and it was a little bit difficult to get it, but in any case, we were able to change the address to their proper address. and get them back ranked where they should be. So if you were to encounter this and you know that that's the case for you, put the time and effort to change it. That's really going to get you a lot more visitors to your site. In terms of number 4, you've got physical address. Oh no, excuse me. Let me just do one last thing for number 3. Proximity of address. This is where it gets a little bit tricky, because if your business, maybe you're a contractor, I'm going to do the contractor scene because that's usually where there tends to be most issues. If you're a contractor and you say you're at the North Shore of the main city, so maybe in New York, you're 20 kilometers away from New York, but you service in New York. The thing is, the clients you want are going to be in New York. The clients you're going to contact are going to be in New York. But the thing is, since your address is outside of New York, it's 20 kilometers north, basically how you could see it is that there's a peak, there's a pyramid, there's a peak where at your exact location, if somebody searches for roofing company, they're going to be most likely to find you. And it kind of spreads down after that. And so the further away you get, the less likely you are to rank number 1. And so there's ways to play with that, there's ways to try to increase that, but in most cases, your trend is going to be like this. And so what happens is that if you're further away from your main locale where you want business, and you're trying to target them, it's going to be harder and harder for you to compete against the other guys who are maybe at that exact spot, or maybe in the location. So this is where getting multiple addresses might be worth it for you. So if you have multiple addresses, you have multiple HQs, you have multiple, business offices, you can basically get a Google My Business profile on every single one of them. This is even a strategy that people use where they get a fake, it's not a fake one, they actually get an office, they pay an office just to get a Google My Business listing there as their secondary business office. Maybe they have, 1 employee there, 2 employees there, they have a small team there just to handle whatever business they have there. And they just basically pop up these just to get more Google My Business listings. Again, you have to play around with this and make sure it's not against Google's guidelines. You have to read up on that and make sure. Anyways, if you are to spend the money, you're probably either going to deal with an agency or really delve into it. But this is a strategy to use. So if you know that your business location is far, it might be interesting for you to get a secondary location just for you to get that targeting going. Now, number 4, physical address and city of search. So you basically want to have, again, kind of the same principle here, but just in the city sense. So you want to be the same city of what people are searching for. Number 5, removal of spam listings to spam fighting. So basically, like I was saying here, if your keywords in your Google My Business profile are fake or not part of your business, or maybe you have the physical address or whatever the proximity address, like if somebody's going against Google's guidelines, you can report it. And if you report it, what happens is that if there's 10 competitors and you're number 7 and you report the number 6 spot and he gets demoted or he gets removed, now you're at the 6th spot. And so maybe it's going to take a week, maybe it's just going to be a ban, like a shadow ban, you could say, where they're just going to unrank them or rank them lower. But now you're calling them up the ladder in a way that's good with Google's guidelines. So if you're respecting the rules, you want the rules respected. And so you could fight back in that sense. Number 6, having high numerical Google ratings. So basically having 4 to 5 star ratings. If you are to do this, let me just show you a chart. I believe I have it in this training, the Google My Business training. Let it load. Let me get back to it here. So basically, there's a trend where the more reviews you have, the better it is. But also, the better review count you have, the better the conversion rate you have. So let me just load this up and see if I can't. With this video, it's going to take a little bit of time. Hopefully, we'll be able to find it. It's going to take a long time. Okay, I'm going to continue, and then if it loads, I'm going to be able to express it, to show it. So basically, you want to have as many reviews as possible. I'm actually on the wrong thing. So you want to have as many reviews as possible and the highest rated reviews. Basically, you want to have a review rating between 4.7 to 4.9. Having a 5-star review rating is actually worse in terms of conversion rate. So you get less people to contact you or call you or visit your website because you have a 5-star rating compared to a 4.9. So 4.9 is best, and then the rest, it gets lower. So let's just see if it's loading up now. Okay, we'll forget it. In any case, 4.7, 4.8, 4.9 is best. It kind of gets you in the top conversion possibilities. 4.6 is a little bit worse. 4.5 is a little bit worse, and then it starts going downhill. 4.4 and so on and so forth. So the aim would be you get to 4.7, you're pretty much at the top of what can be. So if your rating is under 4.7, you should really push to try to get it up there. Maybe that's asking a bunch of people that you've worked with to leave your reviews, people you know that are happy with, customers that have never left reviews. We have a video covering basically every single way you could get more reviews to your business. So if you were to look at it here, getting more reviews, so asking your old clients, asking new clients, and miscellaneous strategies we cover. Getting the review quality higher, so the type of templates, the ways you could ask, having a bad review filter. So if you have customers you're not sure about, maybe you could filter them out before they actually end up leaving a review. So there's a bunch of different ways you could do it. Also distribution, or responding to them. And we're not going to cover that in depth in this video. This is just going to be the Google My Business overview. But if you want to check those out, they're going to be in our channel, in the channel. So high numerical Google ratings. Now, the other thing, number 7, would be additional Google My Business categories. So like we were saying before, you have your primary one, maybe roofing contractor. What you're going to want to do is you want to see all the recommended ones that Google has that are similar to your business, that have relation to your business. You want to add those, and then you want to maybe add those manual ones. I don't remember exactly how many you could add on Google My Business, but basically you want to add as many as possible. And then you add basically try to add as many recommended as possible. That makes sense. And then you add all your weird ones, if you could say it like that, all the ones that are not sure. This is really going to help for your rankings, or should. Now, number 8, quantity of native Google reviews with text. So how many reviews you have. So here we're talking about the quality score of your reviews. This is going to be the quantity score of your reviews. Both of them have an effect on conversion rate, and both of them have an effect on search rankings. So it's, I would say, priority, if anything else, priority number 1 would be ask everybody for reviews. When that's done, then you could probably optimize all the other stuff and see if you can't modify it. But reviews, it's going to get more traffic to your business, because people are going to visit that link. If they visit that link, Google's going to recognize this flux of people coming in as traffic, as interest. So that's probably going to rank you higher. So you could keep that momentum, then you could change everything else, and you could really play around with that and get a real nice snowball effect going on. Now, in terms of number 9, verify Google My Business profile. If you've never verified it, if you're watching this video, you've probably verified it already. If you haven't, just go check. I believe there's some checkers to see if you haven't verified your Google My Business profile. In the case of some of the clients we worked with, this was the case. So they never even verified it. They never even claimed it. And so what happened is that they couldn't even make changes on it. People could post images on it, and they never had the ability to modify it or report it or anything like that. So important there. Then number 10, proximity address to the central. It's basically the center of all the traffic that you want to have. So basically I would say this is the same thing as number 4. To be quite frank, the way it's expressed here, I'm not too sure what they mean by centroid. Do they mean the center of the town? Do they mean, do they mean the center of the city? In any case, if your physical address is where you are, then that's going to be good enough. So that's going to be number 10. Now I'm going to go through these a little bit faster from 11 to 20, and then maybe I'm going to slowly scroll through so you guys can take some screenshots if you want. In terms of 11, keywords in Google My Business landing page title. So your landing page basically is going to be, you have a link on Google My Business profile that says website. That page is going to be your landing page. Now maybe that's your homepage because that's how you set it, and that's fine. But what you can do is you can have one that's dedicated for Google My Business profile, a page dedicated for that has certain keywords that you want to rank for on Google My Business profile. So maybe your homepage, because you offer many different services, you want to do it in a certain way. And then maybe on your Google My Business profile, if you want people to land there, you might use some specific region-specific keywords. So the best way I could explain is that maybe your homepage, you're trying to target everyone in a 50-kilometer radius. And that means people in city A, city B, city C, whatever type of city until Z. Now, your Google My Business profile is located in a certain spot. And so what you want is you might want to say, okay, well, that certain spot is within this city, city A. And so I'm going to create a page dedicated to city A, my service, or the main service I offer. Because most people, if they're searching me up and they're finding my profile, they're going to be in this city looking for this service. And so that's going to increase your conversion rate. And that's also going to help on the other side, your search engine rankings, your Google My Business rankings. So something to consider there. You could have a dedicated page for your Google My Business. Then if you have multiple Google My Business profiles, you can have a dedicated page for every single one of them. Something else to take into consideration. Completeness of Google My Business profile. This is, I would say, number 1 thing you should do is just, even though it's number 12, it's just so fast to do it. You basically fill out every single information. So you have all the hours, the holiday hours, you have, all the accessibility features. You basically fill out every information, put all the images, all the videos that you want, just fill it out, fill your description out, fill, you know, the about us, whatever, everything, even the things you might think are stupid, just do it at this point. If it does anything, it's going to help. Number 13, sustain influx of reviews over time rather than burst. So obviously if you're asking for reviews, you could do it in a burst if you're really trying to just get a boost in reviews, but maybe it's better to have a sustained influx. So if you're asking people, maybe you have a list of old clients, you've never asked them for reviews, you have 500 clients, maybe you ask them, you know, 50 a week. In any case, if you're doing emails, if you're sending them in emails, if you're sending a blast to 500 people, whatever it's Gmail or Outlook, whatever you're using, they're probably going to consider that a spam. And so you want to be careful if you're asking for emails. I would recommend sending 30 emails a day. If your emails are already warmed up, if your account's already warmed up, sending 30 emails a day should be okay. If you already had conversations with people on that email, on that specific email, then you're fine to send them as many emails as you want. But if it's your first time contacting them through that specific email, because maybe you have your info email that you want to use for client communication, you have this review email for sending these reviews, you want to warm it up for 2 weeks. This is general rule. Warm it up for 2 weeks. So that means have communications with them that are back and forth for 2 weeks. You can use software to do this. And then if you are going to send them out, you want to send them out 30 a day maximum. I would say more than that, you're pushing your luck on whether or not they're actually going to appear on their inbox or they're appear in their spam. So something to consider there. Now this is going to depend. If you're a service business that has, if you're a service business that has 500 clients, past clients that you never asked for reviews for, out of them, how many are actually going to leave your review? Maybe 15%. That seems to be the metric, the benchmark. So 15%, you're probably going to get 60 reviews. 60 reviews not going to be tremendous. Maybe you do it you split in 2 months or something like that. If you have 30, then you could do it all at once. Then number 14, dedicated page for each service. So now we're actually, same thing here, but you can have a dedicated page on your website for every single service you offer. Now, one thing I'm curious about is why this is in any case. I would assume there would have been in a local organic, like local SEO strategy, but in any case, they mention it here as well. So dedicated page for each service. So you have 20 services, you want to have a page dedicated to each one. And in this case, they're saying it can help your Google My Business rank even higher. In terms of number 15, you got keywords in Google My Business landing page in your heading. So H1, H2, basic SEO strategies. I would even assume, they haven't mentioned it here, but I would assume your title tags and your meta description, you want them to have the same keywords that you had in the landing page title. You want to have the same ones in your headings and your title tags and your meta descriptions and even maybe your URL. Number 16, proper placement of the map pin. So if you're choosing the map pin, you want to have it properly placed at your location. That's going to just be a little bit more precise. How much of an effect does it have? They mention as being a high effect thing. It's up to debate, I guess. Number 17, geographic city/neighborhood keyword relevance of domain content. So how relevant is the content of your website to the geographic city and neighborhood? So you want to sprinkle in within all your pages of your website, mention your city, your neighborhood, the towns around it. It's just going to help Google understand that you're located in this certain region, and that's going to allow them to properly rank your Google My Business profile as well. Because all these things are connected. Your Google My Business profile is not an entity separate to your website. Your website is shared on Google. Google shares your website, and so having these two interconnected, Google is going to make the connection. And so you want to make that connection as strong as possible. You want to make that connection in your advantage. Then you got internal linking across website. Again, these are strategies that are more local SEO, or they're more general SEO, but basically you have every single page of your website linking to every single one. So through your header, through your footer, and even through your content. So maybe you have some words, some keywords that are linking to other keywords, and so on and so forth. You could do that whole interlinking situation there. Then number 19, quantitative inbound links to domain from locally relevant domains. So this is going to be a link building strategy. So basically getting other domains in your local area. So maybe you have some newsletter in your area, or you have a blog in your area, and so on. And so you could get those links to link to your website. So instead of you being a naked website that's not connected to anything else, now you're going to be interconnected to other businesses in your little local area, but online. And that's those roads that are leading to you is going to tell Google that you're a local source, that you should be probably ranked higher on Google My Business. And then number 20, recency of reviews. So how recent are your reviews? I think this is going to be more a conversion factor. It might help in terms of terms of ranking. But in any case, if you're doing, sustained influx of reviews, this is going to be the same thing. But recency reviews, if people see that there's a review left yesterday, they're more likely to contact you than if they see one that's left, 2 years ago. So that's going to be this for the top 20. I'm not going to go into the rest. I'm going to say, as I said before though, and I am going to scroll through. So if ever you pause the video, maybe you want to screenshot it, I'm going to link in the description below the WhiteSpark blog. So if you want to access this, you can check it out. See if you can learn from it, and you can see all the other information they have on there. Not only do they have information on how to optimize your Google My Business profile, but they also have it on local search engine rankings. So basically how to optimize your website to rank higher on Google and not just Google Maps. So you have all those tricks there. Then you also have, I think, suspension risk factors. I'm going to show you guys right after I'm finished scrolling here. So if I just, we're almost done. And you got this here. So you've got the local organic ranking factors. So these are going to be all the ones here. Then you have local Google My Business. Then you have conversion factors. So what helps your conversion rate in terms of your Google My Business. Now we're talking about how to rank higher in this one, but this one's about conversions, which if you want to check this out, I'm going to give you the top 10 here. If you want to copy and paste it, you want to screenshot it. Negative ranking factors. So what doesn't help your Google My Business rank. And then Google My Business suspension factors. So like I was saying here, if your address, a PO box, is a fake address, that might be good for suspension. So if your competitor is doing this, you can report them for that. For any other violations you have. So if it's, any types of things like that, you could do that. If you see fake reviews from competitors, you can report those and potentially get them ranked lower. So this is going to be pretty much it for the video. So as a final recap, this is going to be part of the whole funnel. If you're a service business, it's going to be the top of it. Basically how to get more people to notice your business, and when they've noticed your business, hopefully they inform themselves, see your website, see your online reputation, see your content, end up contacting you, and then possibly end up purchasing from you. So hopefully this video helped. If you have any questions, anything you want to let me know in the comments, please ask them away. I'm going to try to answer every single comment I see. If you have anything that you want me to add to this, if you had anything that you think could be useful, please let me know in the comments. I'd like to always add to this whole bundle, add to all this information, so that in the future we can really make this really good. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you want to download our trainings, we have one on Google My Business optimizations and so on. So you could download that. The WhiteSpark, you know what, let me just so I don't forget, if ever I'm doing the video, I'm going to just show you guys the link. Oops. Excuse me. Let me just do this. Okay, I'm messing everything up. So let's just do this like this. Okay. This is the link. So whitespark.ca/local search ranking factors. If ever you're searching for that, you can use that. In any case, I'm going to remove it here. So that's pretty much it for this video. If ever you guys want to work also with our agency, Vizions Digital, we help basically local service businesses, especially contractors, but any type of local service business, optimize every single aspect of their business online to get them more leads, to convert more of them into actual contacts, get most of those contacts to purchase from you, and then increase your average order value in LTV. So that's what we do. If you're interested in that, we offer at different levels of the market. So if you're a small business where you're doing maybe over $4 million a year, we're interested in working with you and seeing if we can help you. So link in the description for that as well. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.